Hello, everyone. Excuse me. I feel like I have 1 bajillion things to share, but I have been going on very little sleep. I'm a little snuffly. I've been traveling, so I don't know how long this is gonna last. I might fall asleep sitting up here. It's 8:56 here in Minnesota. I was in New York this morning, back to Minnesota. I was telling the kids I had picked 3 of them up from school, and we were at a stoplight, like our busy stoplight. It's Radio and Valley Creek is like our busy intersection. And there's a lot of cars. And I said to the kids, I'm like, if we were in New York City right now, there would be 10,000 people walking around. And so I was like, yeah, right, Mom. I was like, no, there would be. You wouldn't even be moving. You would just be watching them move around. Hold on to your purse. They always think I'm lying. Hello, everyone. Okay. Sorry, typing something. Okay. I want to just give an overview of, we have had a whirlwind couple days.
Get your bed.
A lot has been happening, which busy activities, fun. And it's funny because I have people that'll say to me, like, you're so busy. Like right now, my friends on here will probably be like, you're so busy. But usually we're busy with, like, we go for a hike, or you know, we go to a jump park. Like that's the kind of busy that we are. But this month we have had Cooper's birthday party, a trip up north to stay in a hotel. We went on the Polar Express, which is Cooper's dream vacation. It's about 2 hours away. It's where we used to live. We lived when he was born. We go to the depot. Oh, Robin, yeah, I'll show you. And we had his birthday party, and I made this joke tonight. I tend to go big. And I was saying to my friends, I did this silly thing in my mind. So I invited Cooper's Miracle League team, which is his Miracle League adaptive baseball. Love every one of those kids, and then a few other of his friends to his birthday party. Well, for some reason, I was thinking of it like my neurotypical son's birthday, where the parents just drop the kids off. Now, I fully know that's not going to happen because Cooper wouldn't be able to go alone. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, 20 kids, no big deal. Well, then we had parents and siblings, which is awesome and wonderful. So the night before the birthday party, I said to Jamie, so there's going to be like 55 people. He's like, at Cooper's birthday. And I was like, yes, there is. So like, we need to order pizza now. It was the best. Cooper's birthday party this year, his 13th birthday. This is one of the truest things I'll ever tell you. When he was diagnosed, and I imagined the future, I was really nervous about 12 and 13. And scared and worried, and what does nonverbal look like at 13, and the onset of puberty and all these parts. It was the best day of my life. I mean, I'm sure, of course, like births of babies and weddings and all that stuff are great, and wonderful. But this birthday, 21 kids, all with different abilities, different disabilities. My favorite part was the 20 minutes when we all sang Christmas carols and the kids danced. It was just, I like pinched myself numerous times and was like, excuse me, looking around at these, there were dads too, but the moms specifically that have become my friends, my allies, my sounding boards. You know, I looked at all these parents and I was like, if autism was never in my life, I wouldn't have these people. And I'll tell you, I was so lonely. When Cooper was diagnosed, we didn't know one family that had a child with a disability, let alone autism. And then I would say, and it's really isolating, and that might be hard to understand if you're outside of this world, because you think, well, everyone can be a peer, everyone can be a friend. And in theory, yes. But for example, with Cooper, he wasn't in school for years. He did therapy, and you weren't allowed in the clinic, and you weren't allowed to talk to the other parents, and you didn't see them at drop off, and your child's not in sports, and they're not in and ready to play dates, and you don't meet anybody. I was so alone. I would say till Cooper was probably 10. And he's 13 now. And no one should have to do this alone. No one should have to do anything alone. We should all be here, right? So I'm kind of skipping ahead. And then we had a movie theater event. And there were like 100 people that came, all families just like ours. And excuse me. I have a little bit of a cough. I'm not worried about anything. I just have a cough. It's more of like a dryness tickle. But I'll tell you, when you're in an airport and you have a cough, people get real nervous. They get real nervous around you. I'm like, I'm sorry, I just have a little tickle in my throat. And like you're like trying to hold it in, and your eyes are watering. And like you're sweating. Oh. I had that for a few days. And then I left from, I'm going to tell you about this movie theater event too. I left from that and went immediately to the airport. And hi, Trisha. And I flew to New York with my two dear friends, Adrienne Wood of Tales of an Educated Debutante and Carrie Cariello. And we went to see each other. We went to be in the same room together. We went to laugh. We went to present at Daniel's Music Foundation to an amazing group of people and learn about their foundation. And we went to announce our book. So that is the big announcement that we've been dangling. So my first book was Forever Boy, and now my second book will be co-authored with Carrie and Adrienne, and it's going to be called Life Out Loud. And it will have a subtitle. So it'll be Life Out Loud. And where that came from was, and if you live this life, you're gonna nod your head through the screen, I'm sure. We don't blend in. Not even a little bit. Cooper and I have never blended in. And for some folks, that may come natural. For an introvert like me, I just want to blend in sometimes. But this boy, my boy Cooper, needs us to live out loud and advocate and share and draw people in. And I'm thinking the subtitle, so we actually proposed the subtitle, but I don't know if they picked it. It was something like 3 Mothers on Life Alongside Autism. And I love that. But I don't know if they will pick that. But it should be, our manuscript is due in July. And then it won't be published for another year. So we're looking at 2025. We're so excited. We can't even tell you how excited we are. It's just, excuse me, we're so excited. Okay, so just the highlights that I want to tell you, and for my supporters, anyone that wants to join my supporter page can. It's a great group. I'll do a deeper dive into all of this and share a lot more, but That'll be tomorrow. I'll put a link here if you want to come join us. It is the best group of people. But let me just tell you a little bit. So we took our 3 boys. Our daughter went to my in-laws' house. We took our 3 boys up north. And it was really...
Daughter's naughty.
My daughter is wonderful and an angel.
You forgot.
So Winnie has started fighting going to bed. So she's
I've already put her to bed 4 times.
She's in a toddler bed, and she learned she can get up. So she comes out into the hallway, and she'll even venture down the stairs. Yeah. So Jamie said the last 2 nights have taken 2 hours to get her down.
At least 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh,
Which the only good thing is just she doesn't get up yet. Winter Swenson, get in bed.
And she'll shut the door.
The tough thing about kids that age is they're not scared of me yet.
Oh, we don't ever parent.
Like they just laugh at me.
We are loving.
I can say whatever I want, and she knows that. Oh, that was so cute. You're never going to do anything to me anyway.
Winnie is very much
diva.
The diva of our house. She's the girl after 3 boys. She's smart and cute as a button, and she just runs this house. I mean, but actually we had a potential babysitter come over and visit tonight, and I said, I was telling her about each of the kids, and I'm like, Winnie is the funnest girl. She's just fun. Her personality, she loves to play, and she's just fun. Except if you want her to sleep. She is not fun. I parent... Oh, Jamie, Shayla says I parent on caffeine and threats.
Yeah.
That's funny. We should get that on a t-shirt.
I can tell her exactly how well that's working.
She doesn't need sleep. Deb, it's insane. Winnie does not need sleep. She needs the least sleep of all 4 kids.
Yeah, it's changing. Cooper is like the old man now.
Cooper did not sleep through the night till he was like 6. He didn't, and then, I mean, he had a year where he got up at 3 a.m. and we went through everything with sleep with Cooper, which can be common with autism. We have to wake him up every morning now. It's unbelievable. Like, I remember thinking like, we're going to be waking up at 4 a.m. for the rest of our life. I mean, don't you? I mean, it wasn't that long ago. He turned 13 and he's like, I'm tired. I'm tired. You're like, yeah, we have to get him up in the morning. And like, so he has to be up at 6 because he goes to school at 7. He's on the bus at 7. We're lucky if we can get him out of bed by 6:20, 6:25. It's so funny. So if that doesn't give hope to some parents, and I know it doesn't get better for every child, but let me give you some hope. So just a little bit about our whirlwind weekend. Just to some highs and lows. One of the things that I'm really trying to do on my stories now is just give a glimpse into our life. So if you look at my stories, when you're on Facebook or Instagram, that's the top. You can kind of watch stories. Because we just have these challenges, these wins and these awesome parts and these challenges that other families don't understand. So we went up north. We stayed in a hotel for the night. That was what Cooper wanted for his birthday. And we had just some unique things that are really happened for us. We can't keep Cooper in a hotel room, meaning he's 13 years old. If he wants to run in the hallway, he can move the locks, he can turn the locks, and it can be terrifying. So when we got to the hotel, he immediately wanted to swim. But we had to transition in, right? We have to get all the stuff out of the car. We can't go to restaurants, so we wanted to order successfully. So we order food. All that takes time, right? And I had to sit in a chair with my back against the door. And I just shared a little bit of that in my story, that this is a big challenge for us, keeping him in the room, keeping him safe. And when you think of that, you maybe think of like a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old. So another unique challenge that happened was our key card stopped working. It's never happened before. We had to get our key card for the hotel room rekeyed like 10 times. Very frustrating. So an example is, I went to get ice, and Sawyer and Harbor, our 2 middle boys, came with me just to go for a walk. It was down a floor, so took the stairs down, and our key card wouldn't let us out of the stairwell. And it stopped working. So I couldn't get out of the stairwell. So me and the boys walked back up to the 4th floor, and I called Jamie and I was like, can you come let us out? And he's like, no. He's like, if I do that, Cooper will bolt for the pool. We won't get him back in. We won't be able to get him in his suit. And he was 100% right, just so you know. And I knew it in my heart. And I was like, well, son of a gun. Like, we're stuck in the elevator. We're stuck in the stairwell. So, not a crisis by any means. But instead of just getting off on the 4th floor, we had to walk down to the 1st, get the car rekeyed, take the elevator back up. Little things like that. Another example is we usually get, because we have a larger family, we usually get a room. We stay in these suites that are just wonderful. If you go to Duluth, stay in the suites. It's way cheaper than adjoining rooms. We have a 2-bedroom suite. And typically one room has a king and the other room has 2 queens. Well, for whatever reason, they gave us 2 kings. So there was a pullout right by the door. Cooper can't sleep on the pullout. He could leave the room. Even if we put a dresser in front of the door, he's bigger than me. He can move the dresser. So I slept with 3 boys, or I slept with 2 boys and 1 king. Jamie slept in the other room with Cooper. And it's just these things, you know. It was interesting how it coincided with the 13th birthday, because I like to always just be, like a realistically hopeful beacon of light for families that have newly diagnosed kids. Live a beautiful life. But we have a lot of challenges that we're trying to navigate with grace. And I didn't think that I'd have to put a dresser in front of the door at 13. And we do. A lot of my followers, though, did say you can get hotel door locks. Has anyone heard of this? You can buy them on Amazon. I guess that's a thing, so we'll probably get one of those. And, the concern is that if Cooper got into the hall, he wouldn't be able to communicate his name, his room number, how to call us, how to get back in. And we've, years ago, this is actually, I can laugh about this story now. It was terrifying at the time. This was probably 4 years ago, 3 years ago. We were at the same hotel. We had extended family with us to see the trains. And Cooper, one of the babies was little, so it must have been Harbor. And I had him in a carrier. My hands were full. And Cooper wanted my phone. And I didn't want to give him my phone for whatever reason in the moment. We were in the hotel hallway. And I was managing people and managing the heat and managing, just tired, and a baby and Cooper and Sawyer and Harbor. Well, yeah, whoever it was, whatever kids were there. And he got mad at me. He was mad that I wouldn't give him my phone. This was like 3 years ago. So he took off running. And before I could get the door open, the baby sat down, he went on the elevator and pressed a button. There's like 12 floors. No, that's not true. 8 floors? Maybe there's 12. I don't know. And I had no idea where he went. So I tried to think logically and not panic. I went down to the 1st floor and I went to the front desk and I was like, I have a bit of a situation. I'm like, do you have like a can you lock down the hotel? And I was like, my son is nonverbal. He has severe autism and he is on some floor. And, you know, my greatest fear was that someone would snatch him. They found him really quickly, like a maintenance person or a housekeeping person found him. So I went up to like the 8th floor or wherever he was to grab him. I'm like, just keep him there. I went up there. And when I got off the elevator, I had burst into tears when I saw him. And he walked up to me. And he said, Faon. He knew exactly what he was doing. He's so smart. I was like, you little stinker. I mean, once I found him, then the terror happened. Did you ever have that happen in a crisis situation? Where like, you can stay calm in the crisis, but when it's over, you melt down. That's me. And almost to a fault, like my sister's like I've had like kids fall off the couch or fall off a bike or whatever, and I'm super calm, and my sister's like, "Are you scared?" And I'm like, "They're fine." You know what? On my inside, I'm like, "Please be fine, please be fine." But I think it's a 4-kid thing too. If you have 1 million kids, you can't panic about everything. Then we the next morning, what did we do? We went to an arcade. Taught the kids another lesson, and I think these lessons are really important. Sawyer and Harbor and Cooper all want to go to this arcade, and they do different things, and it's an activity that we can do together. Cooper actually likes like a race car game. He likes the bright lights and stuff, which a lot of autistic kids don't. He loves the sounds and the noises, and we were there for about an hour, and then there was rock climbing. It's called Vertical Endeavors, like indoor rock climbing. And Sawyer and Harbor, our 2 middles, wanted to do it. And Cooper wanted to go back and go to bed. No, not to go to bed. That's an exaggeration. He just wanted to go back to the hotel. And we sat the 3 kids down, and we leveled with them, and we said, Sawyer and Harbor, do you really want to do this? And they said yes. And we explained to Cooper that we're going on a train ride tomorrow as a family, and you really want to do this, and your brothers don't, but your brothers really want to do this. And it like clicked for everyone. So the 2 kids rock climbed, and I would say Cooper sat there and watched with his iPad for maybe 20 minutes. That's a really long time for him. And then I walked him back. So it was a huge success. We're trying to teach our kids that, each of them, that it's not always about them, right? I mean, that's an important lesson for any kid. But sometimes when you have a child with a disability, I'm imagining that it can feel like it's always about them, right? Or Sawyer in his sports, and sometimes it can feel like the 2 toddlers are just along for the ride. And I want each of my kids to know that, you know, they matter in unique ways. So it was a really good experience, and Cooper did good until he didn't. Walked him back. What else happened? We ate at a restaurant. Robin, I'm going to do a subscriber live in the morning. I'm really tired. I'm going to go to bed tonight. So I'm going to do a subscriber live in the morning, and I'll give you a deep dive all about New York and the girls. So, and that'll be recorded too if you can't see it live. We ate at a restaurant. You guys, I always say we can't eat at restaurants, and I'm not saying it's true, but this just like beautiful situation like worked out that we were able to like eat at a restaurant, and it was loud, and Cooper did great, but the second his food came and the second he was done, he packed up all his treasures and off to the car we went, which is fine. It worked. Jamie stayed in with the other 2 boys, but I was like, you did it. I mean, I had to pinch myself. We have not been to a restaurant as a family of 6 ever. And we were a family of 5 for this. But I couldn't believe it. There was one moment where he wanted to yell. So one of his when you're non-speaking, and you get frustrated, hey Kayla, you scream. And I think we can all relate to that, right? If I can't speak the words and I have something to say and no one's listening, I'm gonna scream. And so we really work with Cooper on how do we communicate in ways that aren't screaming? How do we get someone's attention nicely? How do we use our speech device? So there was one moment where he got frustrated about something. I don't know what it was. And he went to scream. And it can be pretty jarring. And there were a lot of older folks in the restaurant, and I just was like, this is going to be bad. So we're like, Cooper, like we caught him before he screamed. And he totally like communicated, and it was so good. I was like, and when we got in the car, we like let out the breath. Like I was nuts, you guys. I was like standing next to him. I refused to sit down. I was so nervous he was gonna run. Or I was just so nervous. And I want you to know that Cooper can be exactly who he is. I'm not trying to change Cooper. Cooper is absolutely wonderful, exactly the way he is. But we can't go to restaurants and run. We can't go to restaurants and yell. We need to adapt to some social norms, right? We do. We live in this world. We have to adapt in some ways. So we're just working on helping him understand. And he did great. Oh my gosh, you guys. He did great. Went and saw my dad. That was lovely. And then rode the train. I will tell you, sometimes I think things are done for pomp and circumstance that aren't necessary. They had a full band in the depot, and it was so loud. And I couldn't get Cooper in because he wouldn't walk past the band. And I wasn't going to force him. I will never force him to do anything that makes him uncomfortable. So he waited till the band was done, and then he came in, and it was a reading of like, it's called the Christmas City Express, but it's a version of the Polar Express. It was at the depot. And they read the story, and all the kids sat like on a carpet right up front. And Cooper sat in back, and he sat on a train and listened. And that's awesome. And then they let us board early, which was really good. If they wouldn't have let us board early, we wouldn't have had success. They let us board early. I'm telling you, excuse me,
Pretty amazing.
the rest of us are pretty trained out. We've rode this train 10 times. But we do it for Cooper. So, drove home, got Winnie, woke up, had Cooper's birthday party. I'll tell you 2 more stories and then I'm gonna pop off. Had Cooper's birthday party. It was absolutely the best party of my life. My mother-in-law says these sentences sometimes, and a lot of them are in my book because they're wonderful. She said, everyone should experience a birthday party like this one. And she talked about the joy. She said it numerous times. The joy of all of these kids singing and playing. I had 2 moms cry. One mom said, and she's my dear friend, all of them are. And she said, I never even thought to have a birthday party for my daughter because I didn't even know who would I invite. And that's what it can feel like when you have a child with a disability. You're not connected. She's like, I'm inviting all these kids. And I'm like, yes, you are. We'll be there. And she cried. She's like, this is our first birthday party. So that always gets me. And then another mom, same thing. We had Santa come. Santa stopped. I'll tell you, Harbor had seen Santa at school the day before. And he comes up to me when Santa got here and he goes, Mom, there's something different about this Santa. And I go, why? He's like, he looks very different from yesterday. It was so cute. He was so cute. I was like, oh, that happens sometimes. That happens sometimes. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. And we sang Christmas carols. Cooper opened up his presents. And it was loud and chaotic and wild and crazy. And I offered him a break numerous times. He stayed in there the whole time. And then, oh my gosh, I was so tired. I was so tired after that party, you guys. Because you do like the massive cleaning where you like hide things in laundry rooms and hide things everywhere. Oh my gosh, it was like heavy lifting. It was great. Then the other story I wanted to tell you, just because I think I always want to just be real. So on Sunday, I had one of my Coops Troops events. So, hey Tanya. So in Minnesota, I try to have an event every month for families like ours. And this month we actually have 2. We rented out a theater and we did a sensory friendly showing of the Polar Express. So just our families. There were like 100 people that came. And then, and many of these kids that are older, it's their first movie. And then we have a sensory Santa on Friday. So we have, I try to do this stuff. So I was exhausted after Cooper's actual birthday, this trip to Duluth, the Polar Express, and the birthday party. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just go to the movie. Maybe I'll just go. And I actually texted my group of mom friends and I was like, would it be really terrible if like I just went alone? And they're like, no, just come. And then I thought about the big Polar Express steaming in on the big screen and how much Cooper would love it. So I said, Cooper, do you want to go to the Polar Express? He got dressed in his Christmas jammies and he waited by the door 2 hours early. And I was like, guess we're going. So I was a little nervous because I had to check people in with the help of my friend Allison. And that can be hard for Coops. Like right now, for him to be successful, he needs full attention from an adult. And typically that's me or Jamie, but he wasn't going. So I said to my friend Allison, I'm like, can you think, she agreed, but I was like, thank you for helping me check people in. And like, I think Cooper is going to keep me on my toes. Well, we got there and he saw his best friend Dexter and he ran up and hugged him. And then I was checking in, paying for the group. And the woman, Laura, that checked us in, the manager, was like, you can all go back to the theater 4. And Cooper heard that. So remember that. So he started going back with Dexter's family. And I was like, do you have him? And they're like, yep. And I said to my friend Allison, I'm like, I'm a little nervous. I'm like, he doesn't usually go back with other people to places. But I trust Dexter's mom 110%, So I checked people in. I got some snacks for Cooper. And I'm like, I'm going to run these snacks back. And as I turned the corner, someone came to get me. And he was having a pretty tough, I'm not going to call it a meltdown. I'm going to say a pretty tough moment. And he was laying on the ground in the middle of the hallway. And he was sobbing hysterically. And Cooper's not a crier. Cooper is he's just a happy guy. He's just not a crier. And I have not seen him this upset in probably 3 years. I can remember the last time. And I was pregnant with Winnie. And Winnie is 2.5. And right away, I got on the floor next to him. And he was flailing a lot and being very loud, like loud wails. I mean, real tears just sobbing down his face. So I said to Dexter's mom, I'm like, what happened? And she said, they wouldn't let us go in the theater. And I go, but they told us it was ready. And she's like, well, the message from the front didn't reach the back. So I bet he sobbed, and I'm going to say wailing, for probably 3 minutes before I could even like get him to see me. And the manager was like standing over my shoulder. And she wasn't being mean. She wasn't doing anything wrong. But I think she was nervous that he was interrupting others' viewing, which I don't think they could have heard him in a theater over the noise of the movie. But she was very nervous, and she was like right on my shoulder. And at one point, I really kindly said to her, I'm like, can you just step back a little bit? I'm like, I'm just trying to give him some space. Like, can you just like step back? I was like, whoa. I mean, she was like right here. And maybe she was just trying to get control of the situation, but you know, Cooper's not going to respond to her. He doesn't know who she is. So it probably took me, and this is a really long time in our autism world, it took me probably 5 minutes to calm him enough to stand up. Maybe 4. That is a really long time with someone my size sobbing. My heart was just breaking for him. I got him up, and I've never seen this. So 2 things happened that I will never forget. I'll be telling this 10 years from now. I mean, he's just beet red and just sobbing. And I don't think anyone would have been scared. It wasn't a scary thing. It was really sad. And I got him into the bathroom. And there were 2 like girls, like let's just say 10 and 8, 8 and 5, standing, like washing their hands. And a woman, I'm guessing their grandma, like shielded them away from us. I will never forget it. Now, maybe her action was warranted. Maybe it was just knee jerk. Maybe she was afraid of us. Maybe she didn't like us. But she like shielded her kids from us. And it hurt. I felt my heart break. It's the truth, I'm not gonna lie. So I got him into the stall and he sat down. He wasn't going to the bathroom, he just sat and he just sobbed. And I kept saying to him, Mommy's not mad. Buddy, I'm not mad. I'm like, I love you so much. I'm like, you're doing such a good job. I mean, this wasn't a discipline situation. He was heartbroken. He was so sad. I think he was worried that we were going to have to leave. I think he was scared. I mean, these were real teenage emotions. He knew exactly. He just couldn't control it. He couldn't control the tears. Maybe he saw the woman shield her kids. I don't know. I don't judge people. She didn't know. But it hurt. And I'll remember her forever. And then he opened the door and we did like 2 or 3 big hugs. I wiped his face. We cleaned it off. And we went in the theater. I will tell you, there was probably a 15-second moment when he was crying on the floor that I thought they were going to kick us out. They didn't. They were very kind. But I was like, please don't kick us out. He is so excited to see this movie. He's so excited. Please don't kick us out. It's getting harder to soften the world as he gets older. We can talk more about that tomorrow on the supporter group. I don't feel strong though. I don't know how to fix it. I just do my best. But I have never seen him so sad. I've never seen him so sad. So he watched the whole movie, 2 hours. We watched an hour of it from the center, from the aisle. He had a blanket. He laid on his blanket and watched. It was all our friends, all our families. So I was not worried at all about being judged. I knew we were in the safest place ever. And he got a little squirrely on me twice. So for us, that's like kind of some manic giggles. But when he saw Santa on the screen, when the train came in, he was so happy. He was so happy. He did so good. I'm so proud of him. Now, maybe 5 years ago, maybe I would have focused on the hard part more. But I'm gonna tell you the good parts too. And then the best part is that I left there and I went to the airport and I ordered a giant martini. And I'm telling you the truth. I ordered a giant martini, took a flight to New York. And I've never had this, is the last thing I'll tell you. I've never had this happen. So New York was supposed to be getting like this big storm. It was supposed to be getting like a flood. It was like, happening. And my friend Adrian was worried that the flights were going to be canceled. Well, ours wasn't canceled. But I got on the plane and I've never had this happen. They're like, the flight to New York is 2 hours and 5 minutes. The first hour is going to be great, smooth sailing, get your drinks, get your snacks, go to the bathroom. The second hour is going to be terrible. And so I burst out laughing. I was like, what? He's like, we don't know what's going to happen. The flight attendants will be strapped in. They will not be up to help you. It was like the most blunt pilot I've ever heard. I was laughing so hard. And it was true. At like the 1 hour mark, the flight attendant sat down and they kept making these announcements that they're like, you better be buckled in because we can't check. You better be. Like it was like threatening like the passengers. They're like, it was like a mom like scolding a kid like, your tray tables better be up. Oh my gosh. And I'll tell you, one blip. As we flew in, it went blip. That was it. That was it. And then I had a heck of a time getting an Uber, you guys, out of LaGuardia. It was not a good experience. And then it was 1 a.m. No one waited up to make sure I survived. And by that I mean my husband and Adrian.
Talking about your Uber request, you're gonna monitor you?
I tried to send my husband my Uber. You can share your rides, they know. But my Uber driver talked the whole way. And I think he was reciting religious things, which, okay. But at 1 a.m, I was a little anxious and kind of worried. But my ride went share. So I was like, I hope I make it through. And I made it. And when I got to the room, I shared a room with Adrian, and I still laugh. I walked in and she was snoring like a freight train, face down in the bed in bright red pajamas. And I was like, does anyone not care if I die? Like, don't I have one person in my life that's like, did you make it? No, I didn't. I didn't. Story of my life. But I have much more to share. Well, I will tell you, Terry Jo, that LaGuardia was closer to our hotel. So it was only like a 25-minute cab ride for 5 miles. And LaGuardia was really nice.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, thank you, Amy.
I think basements don't.
It was really nice. Except for the Uber part. The Uber part, imagine like, this is the description I'm going to give. Like 4 lanes of traffic that can come under like a tunnel. You're underground. And I would say 100 people, all with their phones, waiting for their Uber driver or Lyft driver, I'm sure, or taxi. So everyone's trying to see license plates and no one can see because there's 4 lanes. And when I get overtired, like really overtired, I get kind of weepy. It's a weakness of mine. So like, I probably had to wait like 30 minutes for my Uber driver, and it was for them to get in there. And people were kind of like elbowing and like jarring each other. And I was like, I'm not gonna cry. I was like, I'm tough. I can do this. Tanya, that's what I said. I'm like, there has to be a better way to do this. There has to be a better way. And Cindy, I didn't get until 1. It is crazy. I thought it was really poorly done. But I am not an engineer, so what do I know? But yeah, I will update. I'll finish the rest of it. I'll tell you about our trip to New York. And then the kids had quite a few things while I was gone. So I had to do a lot of pre-planning for that. I'll tell you about that. We had a basketball game, hockey, a concert for the little ones, and a Charlie Brown play for Sawyer, which I get to see. He did it today and tomorrow, so I'm going tomorrow. I'm really excited. And hi, Charlene. And then yeah, I'm gonna hop in bed. So we're writing a book. It's a big announcement. We're so excited. We met with our book agent. Gosh, I can't. Sharon, so I'll be live tomorrow. So when you have a child in Minnesota with a disability, every year you have to, I'm going to just say it bluntly, you have to prove that they're disabled enough to get help. That's the nuts and bolts of it. So we have that every December, and I was actually just saying I wish it wasn't December because it makes me really sad. So we have that tomorrow morning, and we legit have to talk about all the hardest parts of Cooper. And it's this thing that's not shared and talked about because all the people who can afford it are cash. I don't know. So we have that in the morning. Kind of dreading it. I don't like talking about all the hard parts. So that's tomorrow morning. So I'll be somewhat probably, and then I have Sawyer's play at like 1:30. So it'll probably be like midday. I will be live. So if you want to talk more about New York and the book and stuff, join my supporter group. I put a link above. Come join. And you can watch my live tomorrow. Okay. Bye, everyone. Good night.